jerk? Why are you being a jerk? Huh? She's feeling very spicy. You feeling spicy? You gonna bite me again? Ouch! Yes. Okay. Okay. So we're just not gonna touch Nessie. Hi, welcome to my studio. My name's Tommy. This is Nessie, who is a monster, definitely. Not a swamp monster, but a monster all the same. It's been a very busy couple weeks. I'm actually coming to you in between longer than I usually do because there's just so much going on, family stuff. My son Luke graduated from high school. It was a lovely, lovely ceremony. It's a very small school, only 44 kids graduated, and they had it in the gymnasium in the high school, and it was not packed, but nicely full and very enthusiastic. Everybody clapped loudly for everybody else's kid, you know, like they didn't get to the end and like have, you know, like pathetic. Every kid got what they deserved, you know, everybody got clapped for, and they, since it's such a small class, they got to read out all their accomplishments and how they did in school and what activities they did, so what they were doing next. So that was really cool. Some of those kids, I've known them since they were kindergarten, right? Kindergarten, because that's where Luke started. So yeah, it was really lovely, and I'm really proud of him. I'm gonna get it. Okay, I didn't cry during the thing because it was like there was so much going on, but then I look at the pictures and I get a little bit overwrought. I'll put some, whichever side works. So yeah, that was very, very nice, but it was a lot of build up, you know. There was the rehearsal and there was the awards night, and his grandparents came and they stayed, which, you know, when you have people come, it's always a little chaotic. I hadn't seen my in-laws for almost a year. They were here in the fall, I guess, and they're both lovely people. You know, they drive a really long way and they're kind of old, so I really appreciate the effort that they put into coming here. But they wouldn't have missed Luke's graduation. No, not for anything. So that was, you know, just general chaos, not anything other than that. Event was really, Nessie's making me nervous because she's chewing on my shirt behind me a little bit. Are you gonna be nice to me now? No? Okay, you can sit back there. She's camera shy today. All right, so I didn't get quite as much stitching done as I wanted to, but I made really good progress on three pieces. I tried on a fourth. Bye, sweetie. And so yeah, and the progress that I made on a couple of these pieces really, really jazzed me, especially the first one. I'm going to start with, I'm just going to go in the order that I worked on them in the month. So I was really into Strawberry Fields Forever. In last video, I had done just the bottom bit. So here, I'll show this. I had done just this part and a little bit of the frame coming up here. So this is a Blackbird design, Strawberry Fields Forever. It's not very big. It's actually just about the same size as it is in this picture. So, and I'm doing it on a 40 count. Let me check my notes so I don't get it wrong. I can't read my own writing. 40 count lichen linen. I think it's a picture this plus. I got it from 123Stitch. So, and I'm using just floss from my stash, which I had a couple of the colors, and then I just sort of picked other ones that worked with those, and it's wonderful. The pattern, it calls for a bunch of overdyed flosses, so there's some, now she's eating my hair, color variation. So I kind of like tried to pick a few extra colors, and I'll show you that. All right, I'm gonna do the overhead camera. Okay, so now we're overhead. Yes, okay. So cat hair, The cat slept on my ironing board and I ironed my things. So look what I did. How about that? Do you see that there's an arch? And there is not an arch. So this is because of my lovely, lovely husband, Joe, who I just said goodbye to there. He was headed off to work. Yeah, he was walking by and I was like up to about here on this side. I went up here and then I came back over here. And he's like, wow, that would look really cool if it was an archway. And then he walks off. So I was like, wow, yes, it would. How am I going to do that? And so I kind of just stopped everything, stopped the presses. And I kind of figured out that it couldn't really be round the way this vine is kind of like this, but I did kind of get an idea. I didn't chart it, I just winged it. So I did this side first. I brought them both up to this point here, to those were supposed to be the corners. And then I just kind of winged it and I went up this way and then I kind of just mirrored it and came this way. And I did end up having to tear out, you know, I went back and forth a little bit, but not too much. I got the vine on and then the strawberries were easy to place. And you can see, I hope you can see. Yeah, you can see. So there's two colors of pink here, and you know, it was charted just for one over die. So I did that in quite a few places, here and here, here, there, right? It kind of just spread it out, and that breaks it up a little bit. And I've left this because it's charted to not have a berry there, but that bothers my eye right now. I'm not sure if it will still bother my eye once all this stuff's in. So I will leave it out because she knew what she was doing. This is a really nicely charted pattern. Really, really fun to stitch. So what I'll do next, I'll bring this back in here. I think I will do the house because that's an anchor point, right? And then I'll do the little hill and then I'll work my way up. And this vine here, I'll just freewheel it. I'll just wing it, right? Maybe I'll bring a branch off here and have it fill in the arch. A few more big strawberries, another big leaf or two, maybe another bird. I think these birds are really cute. Maybe I can make, you know, one that's sort of like facing us or something. But yeah, this has really captured my heart, I think. I did not, when I started cross stitch, think that I would enjoy stitching this kind of thing, and I totally do. And well, it's made me realize that I was raised to not appreciate pretty things. Like I was a girl, but I wasn't supposed to like pretty dresses and embroidery and, you know, all the pretty things. And as an artist, I was encouraged, you're a woman, you can't make pretty art because, you know, that's you have to not give in to that impulse. So silly. And so, you know, I love pretty things. I've always, you know, when I was a little girl, my room was pink and I loved it. And I had, you know, little pink calico, and I still love that kind of thing. I don't think I'd have a pink bedroom, but I might paint my studio pink. Who is it? Is it Contented Needleworker Kim, who has the pink room, and she has all of her bird samplers pieces behind her on the pink walls? Oh my God. Who'd think that a pink room could be so, it just looks wonderful. I'd love that to do that to my studio, but I think my studios are really big, like tall ceilings. I think that might be a little much, but maybe I can have a pink wall. We'll see. Nessie would show up well against a pink wall, wouldn't you, Nessie? Are you going to be grumpy some more? Yes? Okay. I don't know why she's grumpy. Maybe she didn't get the food she wanted. She likes her treats. Okay, so that's Strawberry Fields. I'm just going to keep working on it. I'm just going to if I get in on a roll, I'm probably going to pick this up this afternoon after I record, because I've kind of just been like, nope, you can't touch it again. You got it to a good spot to show everybody. Don't get back into it again. So I'm going to get back into it today. And I'm just going to work on it. I've been kind of on this rotation where I spend about 5 days on a piece, and then I'm kind of burnt out on it, or it's at a good place to stop. And so I move to a different piece. I don't like working on multiple pieces in a day. I just don't like it. My brain is too one track for that. But I also don't want to just work on one piece every day for weeks on it. That's too much. Well, hello. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, next time you see it, it'll be further along for sure, and it might even be done, depending on whether July becomes a calm month or is just as crazy as June. I hope it's not as crazy as June. I'm ready for a break. Okay, so I didn't quite set up properly. So now I'm going to show you the Mother Earth piece. And I need to adjust. Ouch, don't bite my ear, please. Oh my goodness, that hurts when you do that. This is, I don't know where to look right now. All right, so the Mother Earth piece, and I'll put up here a picture of it. Now, this one is also it's become fun now that I've figured out how to do nice stitches with 2 strands. So the Strawberry Fields was 1/2, and this is on an Aida 25 count. Yes, 25 count Aida, and I dyed it myself. It's this nice warm brown. So you can look down. I'll put the camera down. So let's see if I can get this centered. Everything is backwards. Oh, zoom in a little bit. Okay, so it doesn't show quite as nicely here as I would like, but it's hard to get the lighting to work for all the different pieces. That's all I'll say about it. So I think last time I had gotten roughly up to here, but I didn't have all these in. So this is what was screwing me up is I didn't realize it wasn't actually symmetrical up through here. This side has one more stitch from this center line. It's over one. This space here is one bigger than this space here. And it's not perfectly mirrored either. So what I started out doing was doing one side and then doing the other one, just looking at this instead of the chart. That didn't work so well. So I did have to kind of go back, and some things I fudged and some things I ripped out. But yeah, and then this spot here, this is where the first yellow flower will be. And so the next steps, so this is the entire width. And I smushed some of my stitches in a plastic hoop. I am quite frustrated with plastic hoops. I don't think I'm going to use them anymore. I just don't like it. They really just don't hold it tight unless you crank it down and then you smush your stitches. So I might tear that out if I can't get it to relax. I might tear that out and redo it over here. So yeah, I think next steps, there's the pieces on the sides here. I think I'll do those, and I'll probably not get further than that before the next time you see this. But I really enjoy this, and I'm definitely gonna be working on this again in the next couple weeks. So you'll see it again mid-month. On this one, the old floss that I'm using is fine. I do need to use just a tiny bit of wax with it. to keep it from shredding, but otherwise it's okay. It's not dried out and yucky. All right, I don't think I have anything. No, I'm done. I'm done talking about it. I have said all the things. Sorry, I'm a little distracted this morning. I'm not home alone like I usually am, even though everybody's very respectful and they're hiding. I still I'm talking to myself, and there's people around, right? So I'm a little, I don't know why. It's just my husband and son. It's just my son now. He probably is still asleep. But okay, so the next, this is this thing is becoming a challenge, and it's mostly because of the paper chart. So Quaker Virtues, I'll stick up here, and actually, yeah. And so I'm doing this. I started in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm glad I did. It's going to progress out nicely from there. And now let's look down, and I'll talk through what I'm doing here. So this is a parked needle with an extra thread. Oh, Nessie, hello. What are you doing? So, all right, some frustrating things. The fabric, I didn't realize it was so blotchy. I should have started this line over here and moved the whole thing over there, but I don't know how much that'll show once I'm done. So I started here and I worked up over to here, and then I did these and these, and then I added this one. This one went totally smoothly. No problems with this one. And then I started this one. I have spent the last 5 days trying to get this motif to work. Let's see. I'm gonna bring the camera in as close as it can go. Will it focus? I don't know if it'll focus. There we go. All right, now we're focused. So you can see just the contrast. It's this is this peachy colored floss, but it shows up kind of differently. I don't know how to say that. Like, you can see the stitches, it doesn't lay nice. It shreds, and it's a brand new skein of DMC. It's not some old thing that I pulled out and is dried up and dead. So all of this inside has been ripped out at least once. Like, I would do like this much, and I'd go to do the little inside bit, and it would be wrong. And so I'd have to rip this all out, do it again, do the inside bit, and then I'd go up here and come around and do the inside bit, and it'd be wrong. So I forced myself to work on it for, up until last night, and then I just quit. I was like, okay, I'm going to take a month off from this. I like how it's looking. I like the project. It's interesting. I like the level of challenge. I don't like this floss. And so I might, after a month, tear this out and just not use this color. We'll see. But, otherwise it's looking pretty cool. I mean, you can really, like, this is nice and contrasty. I like how the letters kind of disappear. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. And you can't see, but here, she's like on my hand trying to kill me. And I'm trying to be like, why are you so grumpy? Come on. Okay, you're gonna kill me now. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little scared of you at the moment. I don't know. She's molting, I think, and that makes her grumpy because it's itchy. So I'm gonna pause for a minute. I'm gonna put her back in her house. because I don't feel like getting attacked when I'm not paying attention. And then I'll move on to the next step. Yes? Yes. Okay, I'm back. She was really mean to me. I had to be brave to get a hold of her and put her back in her cage. She gets, when she's molting, she gets really grumpy when it starts, and then as she has all the little pin feathers come in, she's really nice to me because I can scratch her head, you know, and I can help with the itchy feathers coming in. So it only lasts for a few days, and I never see it coming, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, you're gonna molt and be mean for a few days. It's okay. It's all right. I'm tough. It's just my fingers. All right, so the last whip that I've got to share with you today, I took maybe 10 stitches on it and quit. I'm not UFOing this project. This is Wings of the Dove, and I'll put my little image of it up here. This was kind of an impulse start. I really didn't think my way through it, and so we'll look down now. You like my frog? I found this on my son's shelf, and I stole it. One of his friends brought it at some point, so it's my frog. And this is going to get torn out at some point. I am not going to restart this on this linen. This linen, I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes, and this happens to me no matter what craft, what I'm doing, there'll be, like, if it's a painting, there'll be this, you know, a panel that I try to paint. I don't know how many different things on it, and it'll get like 3 or 4 paintings on it, and they'll all be bad. Just this one panel, and everything else I have going will look great, right? So I think this fabric is like the jinxed fabric, because this is the second thing I've put on it that has not worked, and I just don't like the linen. I don't know if you can see the white through there, probably not, but it's really a loose weave, and it's really shifty. Like it's just so floppy. I don't know. I tried starching it, and then it just didn't work. And I think the other problem, because I'm doing this 1/1 to make it fit, and it's not too small, but the stitches slip through the linen weird because it's so loose. I think doing 1/1 on linen, it has to be a tighter weave. I'm not 100% sure of that, but, and this floss is old, and it's dry, and it shreds, it's dull. I think I'm just going to use this for making tassels or something on, I don't know what. But I'm gonna do some thinking, and I will be coming up with a new version of that. I have no idea yet what, but I really like the pattern. It's modern folk embroidery, the Wings of the Dove, and I looked at it. Annika, the Dutch stitcher, she had started it, and she wanted to do, you know, something like a meditative, peaceful kind of project. And that's what I wanted at that time too. It was, you know, one of those million high points of anxiety in the last however many months. And I needed a peaceful stitch at that moment, and that sounded good to me. But this is not peaceful the way I've got it set up. It's very frustrating. Every stitch is just like a struggle. And I want this to be a peaceful, meditative stitch, right? It's got the right pattern for it. It's nice and repetitive. It's predictable, one color. So I will start it again. I will probably not use a fabric that's that dark. And I'm not sure. I kind of want a light color, but not like cream, but like a super, super soft pink or a super, super soft yellow, I think would be really nice. And then then pick linen that would work with that. So it might show up as a new start again in the next month, but I think I'll probably set this aside until fall because I have quite a few. I'm going to be starting 2 more, and I'll talk about those next. Good size projects that I want to work on during the summer, and then fall I'll have a rethink, right? Okay, so that's all my whips and plans. I have so many plans. I don't know if I have enough lifetimes for all the plans that I've got. So I hinted that I would be doing a long dog sampler. And the reason I just hinted at it was because I couldn't decide which one. And I've watched quite a few videos of people who've had that same problem. Like the first one is hard to choose, and then after that you want to do them all. And I kind of think that's where I'll be. I had some issues at first with picking because I just didn't understand. Symbols are bothersome to me. I often don't understand the symbolism in artwork, especially contemporary artwork, because I don't really keep up with contemporary culture. And so references and things and religious references and, you know, all kinds of stories and stuff. I don't get those references. So I always hesitate to do. I do this with everything. Like I don't want to paint with somebody else's symbol. I don't want to paint somebody else's story, right? And that comes into stitching too. So, you know, long dogs, they're full of all kinds of references. And I didn't understand what they were trying to say. I didn't want to do a religious piece. I don't want to do a holiday piece, right? Like those things really aren't my jam. And I didn't want to say something by accident by choosing a piece to work on and not realize that I was making a particular statement. I know that sounds like I'm overthinking it, but I have made a lot of mistakes discounting other people's assumptions about what I do. You know, I had a whole series of paintings that everyone around me insisted were about abortion, and I had not even, like, I didn't even think about that. That was not on my radar at all. But that's all anybody would talk about when they saw these paintings, and so I just put them away because somehow I had not, you know, I use personal symbols. And if I take something that means something else culturally and use it for myself, I want to make sure that I know that that's what I'm doing, that that's what I'm saying, right? So choosing a long dog was hard. And then I was like, why don't I just go to their website? I want a PDF version anyway. And I couldn't find a PDF from any of the sellers that I was looking at online. And so I went to her website, and there, okay. So she actually like goes into the full story for a lot of them, and you know what the inspiration was, what the background is. And then I was like, okay, all right. So these are all just kind of tongue in cheek and, you know, lighthearted. And I'm not going to be making commentary on something that I don't want to be, right? Which is a long way to say, yeah. I struggled to figure out which one to do, but I finally chose Do Different. And it's kind of amusing that I chose that one, I guess, because of the quote on it. And so I'll put up here, and it is a religious quote. It's Proverbs 3:3. And I like it. I'm not much into the Bible, but I think there are some great pearls of wisdom in there, of course, you know. So do different. Yeah. And so I had this whole plan, and I got started. I'll show you what I started. Wait, oh, wrong side. So, and I'll just hold this up first before I lay it down. So this is what I was going to use. And this is just a piece of that not quite even Ada that I bought. This is 28 count. So, you know, it's a big pattern, but this piece of fabric's only 19 inches across. And I mapped out the borders and the center lines. All right, so you can look down now. Well, I don't have to tell you to do that. I have to do that myself, right? So I have my inspiration color-wise for the fabric was the inside of a ripe peach. And I think I got that. And I tried to record it, but I had technical difficulties. And then I realized that I had done a really dumb thing, that I stitched out these lines first. So when I pull this thread out, there's going to be these little white, lighter crosshairs on the fabric. So, yeah. Anyway, so I'm not going to use this fabric for the piece. And I was frustrated. And again, my husband, he's a man of few words, but they always count. He says, well, if you're going to be working on that for years, why don't you just get really good fabric that you like? Well, because it costs money. He's like, yeah, but you're going to work on it for a couple years, right? Yeah, well then do it. So, okay. So, but I really like my idea for the inside of a peach. So what I'm doing is I have a couple different projects like in the next year that I want to do. So I'm going to buy an entire yard of white linen. I have not figured out which linen yet. I'm really liking the lichen that I'm working on, the Picture This Plus linen. So maybe I'll try to find their version of, and I want white so that I can dye it. And so this was good. I mean, this is a pretty good test piece, I suppose. I've got my sulky here. This is purple and a dark green and turquoise. And in my brain, I'm thinking this. I feel like the green is too obvious, you know, the whole fruity planty bit. But once I dye the linen, that might work the best. And I like this purple, but I don't know. I'll have to see when I dye the linen, and I'll use the same process, and I'll do a Flosstube extra when I do the dyeing, because you can see it's different. It's pinker in the middle and it fades, and that responds to the shape of the words chart, because it has that center bit that's darker, that is heavily stitched in the middle. Okay, so my plan for that is I will purchase the linen. I will dye a new piece, and I'll record that and let you guys see that. Maybe next week. Or maybe I'll include it in 2 weeks in my regular Flosstube before I show you my start. But I really would like to get started in the next 2 weeks stitching this. I want to work. I want to handle these colors in the summer. I think that's really what it comes down to, especially the turquoise, right? Like that's a summer color. I don't know. It's an every season color except maybe fall to me. But no. If you go out west, I was on the train going across Montana on my way to Oregon as a young, almost, on my way to grad school. And the we went through Montana and there were lakes, little, like, little teeny, like hundreds of little teeny ponds and lakes, and they reflected the sky and they had this green lushness growing around them. Oh my God, it was amazing. And that was August. It was the end of summer. And so that's when I fell in love with this color. Even though I'd been painting paintings with this color before, I realized, you know, this is like, it really spoke to me on that train trip. So yeah, that's my favorite color, hands down. So do different is a big plan. It's a big start. And I think that'll bring me up to 9 whips. And I'm gonna start one more this coming month because it's a summer stitch. I realized that I don't do holidays. So how do I say this? I am not a person that does any decorating for holidays, including Christmas. We maybe put up a few strings of lights. I've really resisted. I find that I like to rearrange my decorations from time to time. You know, how I've got the pictures on the bookshelf and all the little tchotchkes around. I like to do that. You know, usually I go 6 months between dusting and I rearrange things when I dust it and put it all back. But not holidays. I'm not into holidays. I wasn't raised doing holidays, you know, like the whole, everybody's doing patriotic stuff. Tomorrow's 4th of July. And it's not that I don't appreciate the holiday necessarily. You know, like, I'm patriotic. I like you know, but I don't decorate. And I'm not interested in patterns that are specifically for decorating for holidays. But I am very tuned in to seasons and seasonal changes, especially the colors of seasons, right? Every season has its own palette. And so I was thinking about what I could do that would be sort of seasonal and in keeping and interesting for other people, but not something I didn't want to work on, right? And I wanted to kind of expand my stable of whips. Things I'm working on. I wanted to have a little bit more variety. And especially since I really, really have been loving the Strawberries Forever little sampler, I kind of wanted to do something like that, but maybe a little bit bigger and more involved. And so I was just, you know, as you do, kind of surfing around, and this caught my eye. Summerhill, because the pattern didn't get me first, it was the name. Because just north of us is Summerhill State Forest, and it's, you know, central New York, gorgeous area. A lot of it is has been replanted probably 40, 50 years ago now, after it was logged, and so you've got these pines and lines. But there's other kind of stuff going on there too, and there's little access roads that cut through it, but there's no infrastructure, right? It's just, so we have a Jeep and we have dogs, and so we sometimes when I'm, you know, I've spent a lot of years really sick and not able to hike or walk or do anything, and so Joe would just drive me out to the woods, and we'd walk 100 yards into the woods, and I could get my self-centered again. And we do that. That's a huge part of my mental health recovery has been him recognizing that going for a drive, even just through the woods, would help me when I was in a dark place. And so there have been times where we would do that 3 or 4 times a week. We'd spend a lot of money on gas that we didn't have, and but I wasn't doing anything else at those times. Either I wasn't crafting or painting or reading, really sick, just watching Netflix pretty much. And that gets really depressing, right? There's only so many things you can watch before you get depressed by the state of the world. And so Summerhill, and then this is the summer one, and there's Spring Hill, Fall, Autumn Hill, and Winter Hill. And so I thought on the beginning of each season, I've missed the beginning of summer, but I'm close enough that I'm going to start it. I was thinking about it because we were staying up and the long day of the solstice, the summer solstice. And a lot of YouTubers that I watch are in England, and they celebrate it as midsummer, which it's the beginning of my summer. It's the middle of theirs. So I liked all 4 of them, and there's a lot of floss that you need for them because they have a lot of colors. I think there's over 30 just in this. I'll aim you down, and yeah, there's the colors. So I really hesitated, and this is another time where my husband was like, so I bought all of the required DMC, and part of the reason that I decided that this series of 4 would be so wonderful is that it would help me get a lot closer to having all the DMC colors, because a lot of the colors don't repeat from pattern to pattern. And that's a good way to thoughtfully start my DMC stash. And so I've put them all on these. I just cut this from like a sort of a lightweight cardstock, and I just wrote the number on there. And so what I've done is, let me pick a different color. This blue is not going to show up very well, is it? Here, we'll do this yellow. So, just punched a hole, write the number, and I have an 18-inch ruler that I wrap the floss around, so I cut 36-inch lengths, right? And then there's always this piece that's not quite 36. And so I decided what I'll do is this will be like, I don't use it. It'll just stay on the drop, and I'll know for design purposes, oh yeah, I want to use this color. If the rest of this is gone, I know what to reorder, right? And so I think it's definitely killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I get to do a really bright, beautiful new pattern, and I get to build my stash. Because I don't think there's a couple, like the greens. There's a couple of the greens that use more than 1 skein. There's one that has 3. This one in the background of this, don't use my finger here. This background color here has 3. The thing about all the patterns too is that they all have this hill that's the same height, and so they all go together really nicely. I had thought maybe of doing them all on 1 piece, but I think that that would get really cumbersome, and I wouldn't enjoy that. So I bought, and I know this isn't going to show very well, this linen was not the recommended, but it's so close. It's a 40 count vintage smoky white Newcastle linen. And the Strawberry Fields I think is also a Newcastle linen. So I really liked it. Now, I didn't realize it, but it's printed. I like the mottled side, but it is printed, so I could use the scraps as just plain white. It's too big, but not a lot too big, so I'll probably get a couple small projects out of it in addition to this bigger one. The pattern is, I'm not going to show you the inside. The pattern is how many stitches? 198 by 258. and I'm going to be using 40 count. I like 40 count a lot. And you know, when I was looking for these patterns, I ended up on the Rosewood Manor website to get a good image of this, and I realized that Karen Kluba is somebody that I really like a lot of what she designs, and so I kind of just recently realized that a few days ago, so I'm gonna start really looking into what she does and what she's about, because I like a lot of her work. Stands out to me more than most of the big names have so far. Like I've found like pattern companies that I really like, but as specific designers, I haven't dialed down that far yet. But I'm starting to, now that I'm getting really familiar with what's out there. I can dial in into the details. Sometimes I like the details, and sometimes I just like the overall picture when I start something. Kind of depends. There's so much available for cross stitch, though. It's just unbelievable. Like the variety of patterns that are good patterns, like maybe not my style, but really nicely done. Nice colors, good composition, you know, professionally presented, easy to read, all that stuff. Really good work. It's just amazing. It's such a creative community, the cross stitch community. It's just unbelievable. The designers, the companies, the people who are stitching. There's people who do everything exactly as it was written. There's people that just kind of like me, they just go off on their own little tangent and it comes out amazing. I love that variety, and I love the attitude of everybody kind of is in it for the group, you know. We market for each other. That's how I explained it to my husband when I was first starting Flosstube. It's like, it's a bunch of people who love cross stitch, and we promote each other. Like it's a mutual aid for crafters. Oh yeah. Yeah. Mutual aid. That's something we're all going to need. I will say that stitching has really saved me this year. I have a lot of concerns about where the country is going. I can't talk about it. Stitching has it's kept me together these 6 months. So I appreciate all of you for being there, for keeping on. It's good. It's good. I don't know if we're all going to be fine, but I'm going to say it. As long as we keep taking care of each other and don't forget that that's what we want to do in the world, we'll be okay. Well, maybe we'll live in little pockets of okay, but we'll be okay. Okay. All that said, so it's like my basic plans. I'm starting 2 new pieces. I'll probably be back in 2 weeks with another Flosstube. I might do an extra if I dye the linen for Do Different at a, you know, sort of midpoint there. I turned totally, my nose is red. Oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. All right, anyway, yeah, I'm gonna keep stitching. I'm gonna stitch like a mad person. I'm hoping that July is more peaceful as far as the home schedule, you know, just not so much, a little bit more of our regular routine would be nice. My husband's struggling to fix our very old Jeep. We have one vehicle and it's got almost 300,000 miles on it. And, you know, she's doing good. She's still going, but she needs some new parts. So he and Luke have been working on that. And Leah works for a dealership, so she's helping get price quotes for the other parts, and get the work done at her shop. So it's keeping the family vehicle going is a family affair. Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy the summer. I've got my grandson coming tomorrow for the 4th for a little while, play in the water and run around in the sun. And I'm gonna enjoy having Luke home. Yeah, he's taking a gap year. I'm so glad, because I like having him around. He's good company. We've been having lots of really great conversations lately, and he's growing up so fast. It's like, how some kids that have like a steady pace to how they grow and change. My kids both had like stutter steps, like they'd get really good at one thing and then they'd catch up with a couple other things, and like this back and forth, and they'd maybe stall out for a while on some area of, becoming a big kid, becoming an adult, right? And then they would jump up a couple levels, and it's always fascinating to watch. We've had the basic behind our parenting is they're born as who they are. They are who they are. And all your job as a parent is to raise a child to live in the world as themselves and be okay. That's hard, well, it's not hard to parent that way. It's hard to parent that way in the culture that you're expected to, like, do all the things along with all the other people and expect your kid to do those things too. And we never did. And I think that they've benefited from that. They are themselves, and they are not embarrassed about who they are, and they know what they like, and they know what they don't, and they know what they're good at, and they know what they're not, and both are fine. And if we could all end up in that place when we, by the time we're in our mid-20s, wouldn't that be lovely if everybody felt that way by the time they were 25? Like, okay, I know who I am. Great. Now what? What are you going to do with it? Instead of my generation. All right, folks, that's enough chitter chatter for me. It's getting hot in here. I need to turn the AC on, and it is loud. So I'm going to go. I appreciate everybody who has stuck around this long. I appreciate everybody who gives me the thumbs up, subscribes, share. Please share my channel. I'm not getting, the algorithm hasn't found me yet, so help the algorithm a little bit. Share me with somebody that stitches, and leave a comment. I reply to everything. I've really liked some of the comments that I've had, and people have helped me out. And yeah, next time I've been working on a list of people that I watch regularly, because I've been watching long enough now. I know who I've got like 10 floss tubers that I watch absolutely as soon as they come out. So I'll have that list ready for next time. I'm not too good at all the social parts of this, and I apologize. I don't naturally do that kind of thing. I have to really plan ahead to be social and to do the reciprocal things that everybody else does sort of just off the cuff. I have to plan it out, but I'm not complaining. I just have to do it. Okay. It's fun. I turned the AC on. I hope you're all doing well, staying cool, staying warm, wherever you are. Keep stitching. Bye.